we go. The word. Let's get ourselves ready to take a moment. Feel the vibes, the vibrations, the energy around us. It's here. Blame. Yeah. Here we go. Talking about us, the believers. And what would you say if a person told you they believed that they knew how to get downtown? And they were just taking you for a ride. They didn't say, I know how to get downtown. They said, I believe I know how to get downtown. What type of confidence would you have in that? Like I said before, we're only a few generations off this plantation that was physical. When have we regained the natural faculty that we call the organic mind? Aligned with nature to know how to follow or how to be guided by the natural laws of nature, our own particular ways, because we are very unique people. We already just finished talking about how we're not all created equal, to confuse us, to not recognize our leaders so we can support and follow them. So we're still on the boat, or the slave boat, which has captured our tribal energy and turned it into a church, which means well, but it's all about the levels of awareness or the levels that we're on. If you listen to this, you are being exposed to a much higher level than the masses, because we know there's just us. is Jesus. We know that, we know it to be true, that there was no Santa Claus. Therefore, there is no God. There is a guide of nature, nature's guidance, which allows us to live in heaven or hell, which are basic states of mind. Our biblical terms tell us truth and symbology, where they can also mix lies in. We read these things and take them literally. Literally. We're the lost tribes of Kemet, in a serious state of emergency, handing our children over to the government ordnance department. Remember this. This is what we're always talking about. So, like I said before, if we are believing, that's a problem. Because if you take the B and the E away, and then you go to the other end of belief, okay, and you take the F away, what are you left with? A lie, folks, a lie. I guess we don't have time for this. No, we're so shallow sheep, so superficial, so artificially intelligent that we don't have time for deep thought because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're basically in hell now by our minds being in the place that they are at, where we are seeking to devour each other, not knowing that we are each other. Our collective is in chaos. The first enemy is self, in self. So, in order for us to be born again, as it is said, that means you must lose this mind to gain the real one. So, the artificial mind must go in order to gain the natural, organic mind, which can be guided by all laws of nature. It's really not that complicated. It's only complicated when we've been still following the slave master's mindset. Then we have, and can become aware of our dual nature. We have a program. We have the consciousness, the microcosmic consciousness, the terrestrial consciousness, the me consciousness. And we all have the we consciousness, folks. The selfless consciousness, the celestial consciousness, the macrocosmic consciousness. Okay, this guides. We normally call it God because we don't see how sinister government can be. We don't see hell. We just exist in it. Death is not real. It's a transformation of energy. But we're too afraid to embrace this knowledge because, folks, you think, I just believe. I hear this all the time. Oh, yeah, you believe this, you believe that, you know. No, this is not belief. This is knowledge. This is knowing. This is research, discovery, earnest study to know. Belief is hearsay. Somebody told you sounds good, sounds logical. Everybody else is doing it. It must be right. Who are we to question God? If we're going to follow something, we damn sure better question it to see if it's authentic, real. It is time for us to be more responsible, but many of us cannot be this way. We're not ready for this. So we are running from this responsibility to clean this mess up. Black male. The black male doesn't realize he's a prisoner under economical warfare, a system designed to control him, castrate him from being the image, the protector and provider of his family, forces his woman, his wife, his queen to be no longer his, but her own government woman, terrestrial woman. Are we ready to comprehend what our archangels are when they are merely the elementals? Can we handle the all in all, the Yahweh? I have different things that I'm going to have to say. And when we're ready to start being responsible, we're going to have to take some time. This time is going to have to be time for yourself to be with yourself, not to be shared with anyone until you know who you are or what your energy fingerprints are. You must know the difference of when it's just you in a room or someone else is in there, or you won't be able to see the forest for the trees. This knowledge can be very destructive to families, belief systems, because we are full of people who believe. That's one of the biggest problems we have is we are believers. Would you follow someone who just believes but does not know? You're already doing it. You pray instead of pray on, or you pray while you're prayed on. Do you realize that we're on a hamster wheel and we have to just basically pay that bill, and that we teach our children to get on the same hamster wheel and go to school to work for someone else? Do we realize where our power lies? How many of us compete with one another? Do we realize this competition is unconscious jealousy? How many know of our unconsciousness, subconsciousness, which is 90%, that we're merely 10% conscious, and how the subconscious is a program that is designed to basically do the work habitually and properly for us to be guided by. However, we are railroaded. We have the mind of the enemy. We despise ourselves. Ourself is also in each other. At this present time, we are in an economic war keeping us in hell. In order to break this spell, it would be a painful endurance. So I will continue to walk that path that's hard to find, a few find, to true and living salvation around those who have been denied this knowledge of self, therefore cannot realize the enemy in self, or the guidance, the goodness and guidance within self that we call God, or the double nature, which can be tricky even if we're in denial of it ourselves. We call it the devil. I know it's a bit much. Right now I feel as though I'm saying some things and we need to eventually bring it to another level. If you are ready to start explaining the ways of the matrix, this will be our next movement. After we start learning the ways of divinity through ourselves that we must grow. The science of self, what you're in, how our Mother Earth is now a plan, net of ignorance, a network of dark ignorance by design. How our battles in thought far beyond whatever concepts of our shallow mind. We must wake up and redefine ourselves and our reality. In order to do it, we must have the courage to step away for a moment out of the world to find our world. Then we can return with some illumination, some awareness. Outside of that, our comfort has us just there. We just want to stay comfortable. Handing over our children to the government ordinance department every year. It took a long time to get us this way. So when you're ready, you should definitely pick up the word. It was the first thing. This is 27 years of research on our present condition. You can get this through me at 215-876-7036. Leave a message. The book will be sent to you. The book will be on Amazon soon. If we're ready to give our children some truth, enjoy your weekend.